Welcome to the Asian Women of Power podcast, where your host, Kim Chi Chow, shares tips, tools, insights, and strategies on how you too can create the life you love with freedom, power, and choice. Kim Chi will show you how to break free of your cultural boundaries and boldly live the life of your dreams. If you are ready to transform your life, please go to www.asianwomenofpowerquiz.com and take the quiz. You may qualify for a free discovery session with Kim Chi. And now, here's your host, Kim Chi Chow.
Welcome to the Asian Women of Power podcast. Our guest today had a humble beginning, and his determination led him to where he is today. A TEDx speaker, a social media trainer for international brands like Rich Carlton and Viceroy. He is now leading people like Russell Brunson and Fortune 500 companies into social media success. Introducing Zach Benson, the CEO and founder of Assistagram. Welcome, Zach. Please tell us about your childhood and what led you to participate in the show So You Think You Can Dance?
First of all, thank you, Kimchi. It's a pleasure to be here. Super excited to share my story with you guys today. So I was actually born in South Korea and then adopted by my parents in Iowa, right? So I'm actually in Iowa right now in their old house. My sister lives here now. But to tell you a little bit about my story, growing up in Iowa was hard, right? Because one, I look different. I'm this Korean kid with all these white kids. And two, I spoke different. So I had this speech impediment and I couldn't say the letter R until I was in my 20s. And so I know that kind of sounds funny, but I never participated in class. I was always getting bad grades, getting in fights. My parents thought I was actually going to be a juvenile delinquent. And so life wasn't looking too good for me until I found dance, right? And dance just became it became my fire, became something I was really passionate about. And pretty much how it happened was my friend gifted me this DVD. It was How to Break Dance by Michael Garcia. And, I watched it and I fell in love with it. And, growing up, I'd always been really physically gifted and physically talented. Played all sports. I was always winning the Presidential Fitness Awards. And so breakdance came really easy to me. And it was finally something that I was really, really good at. And it gave me and boosted my confidence up to kind of put myself out there. And so, before you knew it, I started practicing and, working and working, created my own dance crew, met some other kids in college that, and we started traveling together, going to competitions. And, eventually I made it onto So You Think You Can Dance, which is a very famous TV show. I think it's still going on. It's like in this 15th, 16th season now. And that kind of changed my life. But, it wasn't like an overnight success, right? In order for me to get to that stage in life where I felt confident enough to actually audition for the show, I auditioned 3 times, right? And each season I advanced. I made it a little bit further in the competition, all the way up to the top 100 in the LA audition. So I was on a couple episodes. I never won the TV show or anything, but it gave me I connected myself with their brand and leveraged and used that name to help me teach dance all over the world, 50 different countries. And yeah, there's some stories inside of that So You Think You Can Dance story as well. But
You say you taught dance before?
yeah, well, I mean, growing up, I did more like competitions and like live shows, like I performances. But I realized that my true passion was really teaching. Like teaching was just my passion. I had something about it, like teaching these kids, watching them fall, at the beginning of the class and towards the end of the class, like executing these moves and these hard freezes that I taught them. It was really cool. And I just loved how I was able to, encourage the youth and help them smile and help them, you know, become more confident through dance. And so I started teaching classes. I first started reaching out to local dance studios in Iowa, cold emailing them saying, hey, I'm Zach. I'd love to come and teach a dance workshop at your studio. And in the beginning, it was hard, right? No, I wasn't known. I wasn't famous when I first started to reach out to these studios. I was just a college kid. Um, but one studio actually gave me a chance. I taught at the studio for free for the whole entire summer, every single day, an hour class, and barely made any money, but I loved it. I was finally making a little bit of money doing something I loved, and that's when it kind of all started for me.
Wow, that's wonderful. Thank you. So, what triggered the pivot in your career from, from being a dance instructor um, to start a sistergram?
Yeah, so there's a lot of little stories in between, um, that I'll tell you about quickly. And one of the main ones was I I did audition 3 times for So You Think You Can Dance, and I came to a point in the competition where one of the executive producers was just like, "You don't have what it takes, right? You're not good enough. You're not gonna make it. Do something else, right?" And his words like really hit hard and hurt me, right? And there's some truth into that, right? I was a street dancer. I learned from a DVD. I had no, foundational. I never took ballet. I never took some of the classical styles, so I didn't know a lot, right? And so I learned how to listen to the rejections, listen to the no's, but at the same time, I learned how to ignore them because the other executive producer of the show, Nigel Lithgow, told me, Zach, you're talented. Like, you're a great break dancer. You should go out and make a name for yourself, right? So he was like, contact Nesquick. My breakdance name, the name I went by was B-Boy Nesquick because I always drank the chocolate milk before competitions. And he's like, go contact them, see if you can do a deal and pursue breakdance because you're really good at it. And so I learned to not put all of my eggs in one basket. I listened to what Nigel said, and I contacted Nestle, made them a creative video, got sponsored by Nesquick for a whole year, and made a professional video and used all of those different things to really get my name out there. And because of those things, I was able to make a pretty solid career out of dancing, right? I was able to travel the world and live very nicely, all the way to the point of making a 6-figure income, right? And so my parents, who were at first like kind of saying, okay, Zach, good luck. Um, you know, they were like, wow, like, okay, he's finally found something that he's good at and he's making a decent living. Like, we support him. And so all was good, right? I was living the life, I was traveling, I was being supported by my friends until I injured myself in India, right? And so it was during a performance, during warm up, where I fell and I hurt my back. And I remember telling the organizer, saying, hey, I don't think I'm going to be able to perform tonight. He was like, well, Zach, we flew you out. We, everybody's here to watch you. Like, you got to dance. And so I ended up, dancing, and the whole thing lasted about 50 seconds. And I ended up falling and hurting my back again. But this time I was rushed to the hospital, and, a doctor came in and he was like, Zach, you're going to have surgery. You might never be able to dance again. And that was the end of my dance career. And so I became depressed. I didn't know what I was going to do. I had no plan B. And so life wasn't looking too good for me. And so what happened, long story short, was the same friend who got me into dancing, who gifted me that breakdance DVD when I was 15 years old in high school, called me up and was like, Zach, I know you're depressed. I know you're going through some hard times, but listen, me and my brother, we have this really cool thing going on. Like, we're making a lot of money helping a lot of people grow their Instagram accounts online. Like, you got to get in on this. And so he's like my best friend, right? And anything that he does, like, he's always like one of those guys who's just super successful. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. And so with the little bit of money that I had, I invested in an Instagram account. And we used that account that had 400,000 followers on it, 400,000 fans, and we used that account to grow other people's pages. And we rinsed and repeated the process. And we used that money to buy and acquire more Instagram pages, right? And now we have a 220 million network on Instagram. You know, we're working with some really big brands and helping them with their social media. Yeah, so that's kind of what happened.
Wow. So so who came up with the Sistergram? I know that you say your friend, invite you to participate in it, and he just like fumbling through or intentionally know how to use Instagram to grow the follower. But
Yeah.
what is the difference between a Sistergram and Instagram?
Yeah. So good question. I actually can't take too much credit. My friend, my advisor, he created the name. He's just a genius when it comes to naming and branding things. And so he created the name a Sistagram. So think of a Sistagram as like your own personal virtual assistant, like a real human being, like doing hundreds to thousands of manual actions on your account every day, like from creating the content to posting to finding the hashtags for your account to doing outreach, lead generation. It's a complete hands-off experience for your Instagram account. So my company basically just assists other people who are trying to grow their brands, sell their products on Instagram. So Instagram is our platform, and Instagram is owned by Facebook, and my company just helps people grow their followings on Instagram. That's all we do. Growth and monetization.
All right. That's so who's the who who would be ideal to use a Sistagram? Who will benefit most from a Sistagram?
Yes. So basically, if you want to get like if you want to be like seen and known all over the place online, like Instagram is the fastest growing platform out there, right? So there's over almost 2 billion active users using it every single day. Over a billion people use Instagram stories. And so think of Instagram as like a combination of Google and YouTube. So it's a very visual platform. So if you're an author, a speaker, somebody who's trying to launch a book, if you're a coach that's trying to get more coaching clients, Instagram is the way to go. So we work with a lot of people, like we work with a lot of internet marketers. Anyone from like Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad author, to Russell Brunson, founder of a software company. Now, two different people, but maybe Robert's trying to launch a book, or Russell is trying to launch a new software program that can help people. We basically just help people build their brands online, so, and help them become a local celebrity in their city and state, or and then all around the world.
So the people who engage your company's service are the people with a deep pocket for marketing. Is
Uh,
there a space for people like me, a relationship and life coach
yeah,
to
yeah.
start out?
So we have multiple products, right? So we have um, do it yourself, do it like with us, right? And then done for you services. So I mean, our do it for yourself serve products, right? Or courses or programs online where you can simply watch, learn, and do, apply the knowledge, and grow your accounts. Um, and then we have other basic entry programs where even if you're a startup or somebody who's just trying getting started can use. And so we have something for everybody.
To be honest with you, I have Instagram and Twitter, and that's all. I'm not active in Instagram. I'm not that active in Twitter. I'm active in Facebook. Not that active in LinkedIn either, but although it's more active than Instagram and Twitter. So and I don't know. It's probably is unless I see the benefit of it, I will really devote my time to learn and to post Instagram post. But I don't know. Not quite sure how. I'm not quite sure I'm the ideal client to use Instagram or to use a Sistagram.
Yeah, it really depends on your goals, right? So you have to find a platform that you use a lot, that you feel comfortable on, and that you see a lot of engagement on, right? And of course, like once you dominate that platform, it's better to get other traffic sources, right? So meaning other opportunities to reach more people, whether that's a younger demographic or it's somebody else on a different platform, right? Like the more that you can be omnipresent, the more that you can be on multiple platforms, eventually that's that's the ultimate goal, right? Not everybody can be like a Gary Vee and be like everywhere, right? Because you don't, maybe you don't, you're just starting out and you don't have the teams or you don't have the time to create so much content. Like, but I always tell people master one thing and then try to learn something else, right? So whether it's like you're on Amazon and you're selling a bunch of products and you're doing really well, then now is the time to actually try something new and get an additional traffic source, an additional revenue stream for your business. So whether it's downloads for your podcast or you're trying to sell something or get more people in your coaching program, the list goes on, and there's a way to do it, but it's not for everybody, for sure.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So, what are the most valuable lessons that you have learned that you wish you knew it 5 or 10 years ago?
For one, well, there's a few things, right? There's a lot of things. And I'm grateful for all of the mentors and people in my life that called me out, pointed out blind spots, poured a lot of wisdom and knowledge into me. But if I could go back like 5 to 10 years now from earlier, and when I was like just starting, I guess one of the most important lessons I've learned in life is that life is all about people, and it's how you treat people, because everybody wants to be treated like royalty. Everybody wants to feel like a king and queen when they buy something. It doesn't matter if it's something small or if it's a little bit more high ticket, like a couple $1,000s or $10,000. It doesn't really matter. The thing is that we all have emotions and feelings, and we just want to be treated like a king and queen, but also just treated like a real human being. So what I've learned is that I've learned a lot of people skills. I've learned how to listen better. I've learned how to listen first, seek to understand the person, understand their problem, understand their needs. And then once they feel understood, like, oh, wow, that gets me, then offer them a solution. I've learned to be patient and kind, right? Like, it's all about timing, right? So one of the things I learned in business and sales is like, let's say, I mean, everybody loves new clients, right? Everybody's like super excited to sell something, sell one of their products or services, but it's not always the right time for that person, right? And so what I've learned is that instead of like cutting it off and saying, wow, okay, I guess that person is just not interested, I wish I would have known that, okay, there's a season and time for everything. And if you're patient, if you're kind, if you continue to provide value and find a creative way to stay in touch with that person, eventually they'll become either a really good friend and also probably a client, right? And so it's better to have a ton of friends who are praising you and your services than to not have any. And so I always try to see people as a potential friend now. And yeah, there's a lot of things I could talk about.
You s- you say you are not the only child?
Yeah, so I was adopted from so I was born in Korea, and then my sister, she was also adopted, and she's from India.
Oh,
Yes. So she was about 1 years old when she came over, and now she's happily married, just had a newborn baby boy. So I'm actually here at the house, like hanging out with them right now. And she's a German teacher. So she did not identify with her roots at all. And yeah, mastered the German language and now is a high school teacher.
wow. So growing up in that kind of family, right? Your parents are American.
Yep, they're American.
They're American.
Yep.
You you are Korean. Your sister is Indian, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So do you think that so probably your parents raised you up with the American culture, right? American standard. So do you have any trace of Asian influence in you or Korean influence, or do you ever uh, get attracted to the Korean culture?
Yes. Well, growing up was hard, right? Because I grew up in Iowa and such a white American place, right? So I didn't have my first Korean food until like I graduated college and moved to Atlanta and performed a year of service with a nonprofit. Um, but my aunt and uncle also adopted two Korean children, and so growing up, they lived in Seattle, right, a bigger city, and they would bring over like kimchi and other Korean food, so I could try a little bit, but I didn't have a lot of exposure to Asians and the Korean community growing up in Iowa, and so that that was okay. So I mean, I can't complain about my upbringing. Like it was very nice. It was very good. I'm happy. Um, but then I ended up finding going back to Korea and then finding my birth mom. And so, now I know a lot about Korean culture, speak some Korean language. I speak the language some, and have a pretty solid relationship with my mom and a bunch of cool Korean people.
How did it happen? How did you find out
Mhm.
your birth mom?
Well, it was something I always wanted to do, and so after I performed a year of service, did a bunch of volunteer work in Atlanta, Georgia. I I I made this 5-year plan, and so year two was like I'm gonna go try to find my mom and teach English while my adoption agency is searching for her. So I contacted my old adoption agency, Holt International, and I filled out a bunch of papers. Um, Actually went to their headquarters in Seoul, and they conducted a search, and it took about a year, right? So for a year, like 11 months into it, nothing. I didn't really hear a word. They're like, Zach, like we've been trying, but no luck. And so I didn't think I was going to find her. And then when I was about to leave Korea, because my teaching job was done, my visa was about to expire, I got an email in the morning and they said, Zach, like, hey, exciting news, like we found your mom. When can you come to Seoul? Because I was in Busan, that was the city I was born. And I was like, I'm gonna come tomorrow. And then I hopped on a train. I got I opened up the door, um, and then I was like, what am I supposed to say to my mom, you know? And I asked my case manager, like, what, aren't you guys gonna prepare me, or like what? They're just like, go in. And you know, I opened up the door and my mom ran up to me. She gave me a hug. She was like, I love you, son. Like, you know, I've been praying, wishing for this day for many years, and now it's come true. And yeah, it was a very powerful moment for me.
Did she share with you what happened? Why did she give you up?
My mom was just very young. She was, I think, 20 years old, and she was, at that time, she was actually in a relationship with her boss, and just things didn't work out. And you know, I was born, and I think just because she was so young, and you know, didn't have a job after that, that she was just stuck, right? She didn't know what to do. She didn't know who to turn to, because I mean, in Korea, you know, it's, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, she was just, I think, ashamed and lost, and that's why she put me up for adoption. But um, yeah, it was a good choice, so that I could. She made a sacrifice so I could live a better life.
So have you completely forgive her?
Yeah, I have, because you know, I think I think people make sacrifices. Like in relationships, it's sacrifice and support, right? In a marriage and any relationship, right? I'm not married, but this is what some of my mentors teach me is like, you know, people, if they're sacrificing for the better, for something, so that for the better good, that's always a win, right? And life is short, and it's not good to stay mad at people or hold grudges, or you know, let these things eat you up. um and so I guess I've learned from my parents, learned how to forgive, because they taught me a lot of good values and principles. Yeah, but there's other things that my mom did, like as we grew our relationship, that were just like hard. I mean, there's a time where she just she she had this opportunity, right? Where it was like an investment opportunity, and she's like, "Hey, invest all of this money." And you know, I did, and then the money never came back. And so it took me a few years for me to forgive her and let that go. That was a couple things, right? It's like, okay, I trust this person, I love this person, she just came into my life now, you know. And then she asked me about an opportunity, and you know, I'm a risk taker. I like to invest. And you know, when it didn't turn out like we hoped, you know, I became mad. I became kind of angry. I was like, oh dang, you know, you just lost all of my money. um and so I was sad for a while. I was mad at her, but then I was just like, you know, money comes and goes like everything. Health up and down, your faith, your spirituality, um relationship, everything is like sometimes like a roller coaster. And I'm like, well, when I really look at it, um you know, life is so much more important than these things. People are more important than things.
I'm glad you realize that. And in
Yeah.
the past, I've learned this lesson too.
Mhm.
Let's say if you let's say you give money to somebody and that person doesn't pay back, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Consider it as a gift and let it go.
Yeah. That's all you can. I mean, there's multiple things, right? It's like, okay, somebody doesn't pay you back, or it's like you pay for something and that person just runs away and never delivers what they promised or sold you on, or you pay for something and are super excited, but then the product's bad and doesn't work, or the service, right? So there's all these things, but I'm just like, that's part of life, and just gotta let it be.
Yeah, I've been in that. The
Yeah,
other end, the other end of it, like people
yeah,
cheating me and
yeah,
people took my money away, people borrow me money and never pay back. And it's like, okay, so all the anger. Most
yeah,
of the time, I think I was angry at myself. I say, how come I'm so stupid? Why would I listen to this person? Blah 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 blah. But as things go on, the key thing for me to learn is that, okay, what lesson have I learned? What lesson these circumstances teach me, trying to teach me, or try to remind me here? Was I so greedy? Yes. Was I so like trustworthy? Like, I did not do due diligence before I make an investment. I just somebody, handsome or educated or seems like they had it all, and I trust them blindly, right? So that's my fault, right? So anyway, if you can look into the situation and say, what lesson am I supposed to learn here, and learn that lesson and let go.
yeah,
Sometimes something simple, like I got the traffic ticket, right? Parking ticket. And I say, man, I'm trying to prove that it's not my fault. But then later on I say, okay, it's a donation to the police department, right?
yeah,
They
yeah,
they need my money. Okay, I donate it and just let it go rather than say, oh man, I have to pay $200 or $500, blah 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 blah. It's it drained my energy. It's not worth it.
yeah, exactly. So it's like, you know, s- as long as you like actually learn from your mistakes, you're gonna grow, right? Now, sometimes it's hard to actually learn from your mistakes because you keep on doing the same dumb thing, and you're just like, what am I doing to myself? And then you have to look at yourself in the mirror and like really reflect and learn how to be more cautious, more careful next time. But then also just to not let the bad energy in, right? And the bad, like, right? So having your guard up prevents bad energy and people from coming into your life, right? So that's the prevention, being aware of those types of situations and those people, not letting them into life, not putting yourself in those situations, or going to these events where stuff like that could happen. But then also having enough street smarts and self-awareness for yourself, um, to just not dwell on it and not waste energy, right? How much wasted energy like you waste, like when, oh, like this person's took $2,000 from me, or he made me angry and I never got what I paid for, right? I've learned that to just let it go, and to focus your energy on more positive, more good things is always better than dwelling in the past and negative stuff.
Yeah, I agree. So what are your dreams or goals in the next 20 years?
Next 20 years, wow. um
That's a long time.
that's a long time. See, the thing, like, I'm very focused on the task at hand, and I try to live in the moment, but also I try to create these 5-year plans. So I haven't created like a 20-year plan, but if I was going to look at my life in 20 years and be and stuff, um I mean, obviously, yeah, it'd be nice to have some family and kids. I mean, that's always been a dream of mine. Another dream is to travel to 150 countries. So I'm halfway done with that. Like I just feel like the world is beautiful and you got to explore it. Um, and I'm also like even right now, like I'm just figuring out that life is just it's just more about giving and giving back, and finding ways to make people smile and to make people love life more. And so I don't have any clear like concrete like dreams like, hey, like I mean it used to be like, hey, I want to be like a billionaire, or like I want to have like a private jet or do this type of stuff. I'm kind of transitioning and listening to some of my mentors who've had those things, but ended up being bad for them, and ended up being like one of their darkest and loneliest and saddest times of their life. And so what I'm trying to do now is just simply invest in other mentors, people who've been there, done that, who are living really good lives now, making a lot of impact, helping a lot of people, and learning from their mistakes. So instead of doing the same thing, I can kind of skip all of that mess and just live like my whatever potential or whatever life God wants me to live. So it's more in his hands.
All right, so maybe this would help you solidify it, the purpose or the direction. What do you consider is your legacy? What do you want people to know about Zach Benson?
Yeah, I mean, so for my legacy, like I just want to be remembered as like a person who was very, positive, kind, genuine, authentic, vulnerable, who, you know, lived on less so others could have more, right? So really, like to me, it's really seeing people happy, right? And so and achieve their goals and their dreams. And so it's like it's a combination of that, and it's also something that I have to think on more, probably, about what kind of exact legacy that I want to leave behind. But I mean, it doesn't have to be anything special or super powerful, but I just want to I just want more people to feel like Zach was like the ultimate encourager, like the ultimate like positive, happiest guy, like that encouraged and everyone around them, that made everyone feel good and feel their best, like they could go out and pursue their dreams. And I mean, I think it's just something simple like that. Maybe I should think about that more as well, but off the top of my head, like that's what I'm feeling.
That is wonderful, wonderful legacy to leave on. That's if you
Yeah.
continue remind yourself about what you just shared, yeah, I think you will be on the right path no matter what you do, right? If you continue reflect on that, who are you? What do you want? And what do you want people to know about Zach, right? That's wonderful. It's great to know you, Zach.
Yeah, I'm happy to know you too.
So, what are the top three tips that you would recommend people, especially Asian Americans, who
Yes.
want to start a company similar like yours?
Well, the thing is that so my like I like my company because I'm like a lot of people nowadays, like we can work from anywhere, like we can work from our laptops, and so I like the flexibility to be able to be in one country and then be in be in another country the next week. So it's like another country, another culture, right? So if you like that freedom, if you have that passion and desire to travel the world and learn about other people and cultures, then I definitely think this is for you. I guess as far as the tips about creating something that I've created. Again, it's like, first, it's not all about you. I mean, so, okay, if I was going to give like a how to, I would start first with trying out a couple of other things that you think you might be interested in, um, taking online courses about those topics, right? So that you could learn a little bit about them. Finding other people inside of those courses, or those, a lot of these courses have Facebook groups. Talking to those other group members that are inside of that course with you, um, you know, it's good to have that community and that support. And then in doing so, like, this is how I created my team for my company. Was I started off with just, taking a course about Instagram, and then I've met other people inside of that course group that were just, over, like, constantly giving value, creating their own strategies for Instagram. And I was like, hey, it'd be cool to start up an actual Instagram growth agency. Do you want to join me? And so I think there's a lot of power in courses, and nowadays you have access to YouTube, to Google. You can pretty much YouTube and Google anything and learn something in just a few hours. And so I would start there. And then if you're really serious about it, the next step is obviously to find mentors and other people that do it, and pay them for their expertise. Maybe pay them for an hour, which is called a power hour, and ask them specific questions about some of their some strategies that you could use in your company, right? And even sell them as a service. And the third thing is, so the first thing is, of course, like, next thing's finding mentors. And then the third thing about about starting a company is hustle, right? It's like, in the beginning, you're not going to be able to charge those premium prices. You're not going to be able to get your dream client. But if you can figure out ways to create an irresistible offer, meaning that the thing that you're offering or you're trying to sell has so much value, has so much just value, like pure value, and things that can really help people. And if you can figure out a way to offer them for free, you're going to be able to get your foot in the door and create a lot of buzz and a lot of attention about yourself and your company that you're trying to grow. So those are the three things, really. And the most important is the hustle and the grind, because in the beginning it's going to be hard, right? There's going to be times that you want to quit. There's going to be times where you want to give up and just throw in the towel and try something new. But it's all about being persistent, consistent, and just celebrating the small wins, and doing things for free in the beginning, until you eventually have so many people saying, so many raving fans saying, wow, like, you're the best, or like, you're like, I'm going to tell all of my friends about it. And then you can actually start charging for your stuff.
That's wonderful. Wonderful suggestion. So, what is your motto, and why is it important to you?
My motto, I have a couple of them. I mean, one's just to do it. Like, don't think about so much stuff of like what could happen, what might happen, right? Don't stop worrying about like the future. Do what you can do now, and take initiative, take a risk, make that leap of faith, and go for like what you want, right? Because opportunities come daily, and they come and go in a matter of seconds, right? And so if you're not ready to jump on them and to take that risk and to step into the unknown, you might be missing out on something. So, and then the second one is keeping small promises and commitments. So it's so easy nowadays to just simply say and talk, and to talk the talk, but it's all about keeping and doing the things that you say you'll do, when you say you'll do them, and exactly how you'll do them. And as you keep these small promises and commitments to people and to yourself, you're going to see a lot of positive and cool things happen in your life.
I like that. So my question to you, I keep wondering,
Yeah.
why are you here, Zach? Why did you come? Why would you agree to be a guest on Asian Women of Power podcast? Why?
Yeah, and this is, this is a good example. This was all about the timing. Like, we were introduced to each other, I think, a while ago, like even last year, and by a mutual friend named Jeremy Slate. And so, I mean, for one, anytime that somebody comes recommended from a friend, I'm going to try to make it happen. Like, I'm going to always hop on a call with them. And, that's one of the early lessons I've learned in life, is that you never know, like, what you could learn, and you never know what type of people you'll meet, and how they might help you or you might help them. So it's always good to see everybody as a potential friend, and to just give everyone the time of day, because everybody has a story and a battle that they're going through, and it's not always like maybe the people that I'm connecting with. Obviously, like, one of my passions is just that, like, everybody has a story, and it's like I want to listen to them. But the cool thing is, you never know who these people might know that they could possibly introduce you to, which could help you bring you one step closer to achieving your goals and your dreams. But the real reason why I wanted to come, I mean, for one, I mean, it's Asian Women of Power podcast, right? Like, I just like your motto. Like, I like that it's you have a podcast that's just focused on empowering women and other people in the Asian community. This is something that I want to be more a part of and involved with, and so that was really attractive to me. And second, you just seemed like a really interesting, kind person, Kimchi. I was just like, I saw your content, and I saw your posts, and I'm like, well, Kimchi seems like a pretty cool person. Like, this would be fun. And so, wasn't anything really special besides those reasons, but I just felt like it was a good fit, and I wanted to have a conversation with you and hear a little bit about your story, and also share mine.
Oh, thank you for saying that. I'm a cool person. You don't know me yet. Well,
Yeah,
if you listen to
what I can see on your statuses, I'm like, okay, you seem pretty positive, and you seem like you're putting out some good content that's helping people. So
yeah.
that.
And the question is how to convert those content into growing follower. I need help on that. All right. So thank you, Zach, for being here.
Yes, thank you.
And I appreciate your insight. That's it for today. We hope that you have gained valuable insights so that you can apply it to your life. Until next time, live life loud. Goodbye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Asian Women of Power podcast. We encourage you to apply what you've learned here today to make your life a little bit better every day. For more tips, tools, practical ideas, and conversations around a business, life, and relationships, so that you too can live life loud, we invite you to join the Asian Women of Power Facebook group at www.joinasianwomenofpower.com.